It'll show on your profile how much you've played in the last 2 weeks. And I used to try to keep that below 100 hours. More than a full-time job. My first dream job was to be Superman, and then it was game developer after that.
You're very young.
That's my mum reminds me regularly.
Yeah.
It would be not uncommon for me to earn my year's salary in a month when the game comes out, and then like nothing for the rest of the year.
Dara Bohan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Good. So tell me, how does it feel to be living proof that playing video games can actually be quite worthwhile?
So we're starting with a big question there.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure I'd quite put it in those words. I think that I'm living proof that it isn't always a waste of time.
Okay.
But then again, if you're enjoying something, is it really a waste of time? I always say that joy is something that you can produce. And I think that, I grew up playing video games. And for me, it was really a great way to connect with my friends. It was a way to connect with people all around the world. A place I was able to express myself. I was never into sports or anything. I found it hard to make friends at school when I was younger. And it was brilliant to have this kind of community and this place where I felt safe, and I was able to explore all these amazing worlds and connect with people who had the same experiences with me, even if they were on the other side of the world. Now, that doesn't mean you should spend 12 hours a day in your bedroom playing video games.
Sure.
But they're not all bad. And I also always say there's like certainly a distinction in types of video games. Do you know what I mean? Uh-huh. Like if I make an analogy with television, like there's a big difference between watching a really interesting historical documentary versus just like watching brain dead reality TV that you're taking nothing away from,
Sure.
Neither is wrong, but one, could be considered more like nourishing to your mind, if you know what I mean. And it's the same, like something like Minecraft is very different to just
Fortnite.
Fortnite wouldn't be, it's not the worst. It's
Okay.
not the worst, but yeah, exactly. Along those lines, like there's differences. And for me, I always like naturally kind of lean towards the more creative games, which sort of smoothly transitioned, I guess, into building the games myself.
Yes, got it. You said 12 hours a day there. Were you clocking in 12 hours a day?
There were certainly days.
Okay.
I do distinctly remember I had one summer holiday from school, and there's a games platform I used to play called Steam. It's the biggest PC games platform, and it'll show on your profile how much you've played in the last 2 weeks. And I used to try to keep that below 100 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like, more than a full-time job, but also I had nothing else to do. So there was a period, but these days, like I play much fewer. I actually find it hard really to find the time. But that was, I feel like my mom used to think that it was just, it was me by myself doing my own thing, when actually I was there actually with my friends, even my friends from school, and I was actually doing a lot of, once again, not ideal necessarily, but it was still like social and it was really fun, and it's not time that I regret.
Yeah, yeah. When did game developing come into it? Like, when did you start thinking, gosh, I wonder about the people who make these games, and I wonder how they do it? When did you start having those thoughts?
Well, I've played games. I got my first Nintendo DS when I was 5 years old, and I was playing Mario and stuff and Zelda, and I loved it from the start. My dad was a big gamer, and he kind of got me into it. My mom was not such a big fan.
Yeah.
And I guess, what I say is that my first dream job was to be Superman, and then the world tore me down and I had to get real, and then it was game developer after that.
Okay.
And I remember falling in love with Minecraft specifically. I think that's an experience that a lot of people in my generation will have had pretty young. Like, it is really special. And my dad was a big gamer. He also worked in the games industry, and he was into computer programming.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually credit him with the initial kind of push, because I was happy enough playing games, placing blocks, fighting Ganondorf,
Yeah.
And I remember I was 8 years old, and he sat me down. He basically he picked me up off the couch where I was playing whatever, and sat me down in front of his laptop and said, "You're learning how to use this thing called Scratch."
Okay.
Which is like a kids programming language, where you just kind of click together almost Lego blocks of code, but you can actually build games in it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. No, take me back to the TV. But after about 30 minutes, like, it clicked, and I just fell in love. For me, building a video game isn't that different from playing a video game. Like, instead of placing blocks, I'm now connecting these bricks together, but I'm still creating my own world. It's just an even much richer way for me to express myself. The variety of what you can create is so much greater.
Yeah.
And so like it clicked. I fell in love, and I literally have been doing it ever since.
Do you think your age played a vital part in it? Because they say your brain is you're so much more receptive to these things at a young age. Do you think if he had asked you to do that when you were, say, 12, 13, it might have been different?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think actually, if I was 12 or 13, I probably would have been building a much better stuff much more quickly. Like I have to, like these were not good games, right?
Okay.
They were terrible. They were shocking. And even like, 10 years down the line when I'm 18, like it's not like I'm writing some amazing genius level code. There's no like Albert Einstein, Alan Turing sitting across from you right now. like it was very much like I just, maybe because I was so young, I wasn't afraid to do so badly and just enjoy myself. Whereas if I was older, I might have been a bit more worried, like, comparing myself to everyone else.
Yes.
Whereas I was just happy to mess around with it and have fun.
Interesting. So self-awareness wouldn't have crept in.
No.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I often think about that, just being playful and inventive when you haven't got that kind of inner critic at you. It kind of opens you up to better creativity, I think.
Yeah. I feel like it certainly made it a lot easier for me to go through those first few years of being like utterly terrible. And like really, even to this day, like if I look at the stuff that I made 2 or 3 years ago, I'm still like cringing at myself. Like you really do, you do keep learning, and life really is a journey, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think like the important thing for me was just how much I enjoyed it. Like,
yes.
And I never intended for it to be a job. Like I thought that was too good to be true. So I was just building these games the same way you might have your novel you're working on, but it's just kind of for fun, or you might have the video games that you like to play.
But tell me about the first game that went on to Roblox, and so can you take me through that journey, how it came about?
Well, that's actually funny, because it sort of depends how you define first game, I suppose. Okay. Like I moved on to Roblox when I was 13. I'd already been playing it for about a year, and I decided Scratch was for kids, and I wanted to, I was like, oh, I'm 13, like I'm basically an adult, so I need to, no more of this kiddie stuff. And so I transitioned onto Roblox because it was what I was already using. I tried a few different things, didn't really enjoy them, found them a bit hard. I moved on to Roblox and started building immediately. So I sort of had games to show for it straight away, but like they weren't really games. It was a lot of dragging and dropping pre-made bits together rather than actually building something myself. The first game that I intentionally built and then released was called Runner's Path.
Okay.
Which is because I was building it for myself, just for my friends. Once again, as a complete hobby. Like I was just building these things, kind of, I guess, honing my craft in hindsight, but it was just completely a hobby for me. I'd do it after school. And I had a game that I liked to play called Mirror's Edge, which is a parkour game. So you're like jumping between the rooftops of buildings, doing flips and all this stuff, but it didn't have multiplayer. And I wanted to be able to play with my friends. So I was like, well, I'm going to clone this whole game in Roblox, but with multiplayer. And I did that, and it was literally, I spent like weeks, months working on this just so that like me and my 2 other friends who liked the game could play it together, right? Yeah. It was not meant to be mass market, but it turns out that if you build something that you're going to enjoy and you actually do a good job, then there's probably other people who are going to enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was more and more people kept joining because the game was just public. I just didn't expect anyone to play. And I remember like the first person joining, and I literally came in, I saw one player online, and I came in and I was like showing them around like it was my science fair project. I was like, oh my God, and this and that. And they came back the next day and they were playing more. And I was like, oh my God, a fan. Oh.
Yeah.
I was 15 at the time.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, that game ended up hitting 800 concurrent users. So at one point there were 800 people, and to this day I think it's got 2 million plays, which in the grand scheme of things isn't much, but like it was totally mind-blowing to me as just literally a hobby. Like imagine you did a painting or something and like 2 million people walked past it. Like not necessarily 2 million people liked it, but like that many people saw my thing, they played, they tried it out, and thousands of people actually enjoyed it and left likes and comments and everything. And that's when I thought, like, actually, maybe I have a shot at this. And it was still like very early days, and it was kind of silly. I re-released the game. It's my first time teaming up with someone because I haven't got an artistic bone in my body.
Okay.
I teamed with a French guy who did the art and the 3D modeling. He built the levels, and I made it all work with the code.
Where did you meet the French guy?
On the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually didn't meet him in person for years, even after the game came out. I remember actually, I was in Paris on a family holiday. He lives in Paris, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Look, I'm in Paris. Like, you want to go get a coffee or something?" Yeah. And he was like, "No." It's a bit of I guess social anxiety and the online game developer ecosystem. You'd be shocked to hear it, but it's there.
Oh, so you never got to see him?
No, I didn't even know what he looked like.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's mad. It's actually mad. It's a whole new way of working, I guess. But anyway, I worked with him and we re-released the game. I worked on it throughout transition year. And at the end, that one then, same fundamental idea, but just done much better. And that one got to, I think, 3,500 users. And to date, it's got 17 or 18 million plays. And that was the first bit of pocket money I ever made. Like, I think if you work out my hourly rate, it was something like €2 an hour.
Okay.
Like, so I wasn't exactly making a killing, but it was enough to... it was enough to prove to myself it was possible, and it was enough to keep me out of a summer job. Like, so.
And then the next one was that Anime Fight. Okay,
no,
a while to that.
Yeah, so I did 2 more games after that. One, the first was called Wizard Simulator, which I released the summer between 5th year and 6th year, and then I did Pet Heroes. That was just the start of COVID, so I was the year who went into college, the first college COVID year.
Got it.
So I released that then. Because I basically stopped turning up to my online classes in 6th year in about March, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to build a game instead. Yeah. But I released those 2, and those were great. And those ones, it kind of progressively got bigger. So Wizard Simulator, I teamed up with a different guy, which is actually funny because he was the first person I was going to team up with for Runner's Path. We worked together for a week, and then he told me my idea was bad and that it wasn't going to make any money. And basically told me where to stick my my ambitions of building a multiplayer parkour game. Yeah. But we stayed friends and we played some games together. And, there's another example of how the gaming was able to actually build a connection. But then basically I went and built this thing. I spent a year, I poured my heart into it and I made some money, but like kind of a pittance. And he went off and spent 2 weeks building a game called Dashing Simulator, which ended up hitting into one of the top spots in the whole platform. And he worked on it for, I think, 2-3 weeks. He then updated it, so released more content after the game released for another maybe 3 weeks, so 6 weeks of work, and he made something like 40 grand. Ooh. And I was like, oh my God, like, because I knew this guy.
I know him.
I was like, I know this guy. I was like looking at the front page on Roblox. Imagine seeing like a viral YouTube video and being like, that was just my mate. Like, and then so I, ate humble pie. I was like, maybe actually he does know what he's talking about. Maybe my idea was crap. So I basically, I don't know how I talked him into it, but then he worked with me on the next game, which was Wizard Simulator, and that one ended up actually doing quite well. We hit the number 2 spot on Roblox briefly for like an hour. Yes. With 39,000 concurrent users.
Excellent.
Which it's a different platform now. I think the top games have millions and millions of concurrent users. Yes. But back then, that was one of the biggest games.
You're 18 at this point, or?
Actually 17. Okay. And that was when the first proper money started coming in and we had to build, like I was like, geez, I'm going to have to pay taxes. Like, oh my God, what do I do? And I had to set up a company. And it turns out you actually can't sit on the board of directors of a company until you're 18. So I owned the company, but I wasn't a director. I had to have my mom and my accountant sitting on the board. Yeah. Like it was mad. Like the system just doesn't set up for that, I guess. Yeah. And then started paying myself a salary and went and built another game with the same guy, which did even better. It didn't quite peak as high, but it sustained for much longer. And then after that is when Anime Fighters came, which was the big kind of breakout hit. So I suppose my 4th game.
Wow. So just to give listeners a sense of that has had 1.3 billion plays from 60 million players. Yeah. Which is just outstanding.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal watching it all happen.
So do you just watch, I mean, the numbers go up and then are you just kind of clocking how much that actually, like how much money you're making with each, can you tell with each play?
Yeah, I mean, Roblox provide a pretty good they have a pretty good dashboard where you can see all this stuff. And like what makes Roblox special is the fact that they sort of give you this whole platform where everything like works out of the box. Like I didn't need to go to AWS and do my server hosting and write all this back end and all this sort of boilerplate. Just you have to check a million boxes for your game to actually work. Roblox gives you all of those things, and then you just build the game itself. And so I could just build a game, and then like if a million people play it, they will, you know, make sure there's enough servers, enough computers running all that code that's able to actually serve that to everyone. And then if no one plays it, then, you know, I get nothing. And it's completely for free. So yeah, I mean, you just build the game, and I put it there, and I just watched. I was like, what in God's name is happening? As I just watched this vertical line just rocket upwards. And I was like, well,
Wow.
this is me, I guess.
And it just went on for weeks, for days,
Months,
for
we
weeks
did.
and months?
Yeah, it was growing for the first 6 months.
Wow.
And then there was like a year of sort of a tail. And I find that it's very common, like when something is trending, it's growing, and then it gets big and big and big, and then you sort of peak and you sort of trail off. That's been my experience. And it would be not uncommon for me to earn my year's salary in a month when the game comes out, and then like nothing for the rest of the year. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Got it. But that wasn't the case here.
Yeah, so it actually sustained a bit longer as well, which is part of why it was able to reach so many people. Most of my games the whole timeline would look more like 4 to 6 months, whereas this was 18 months, as I said. And actually, I mean, there's I think 9,000 people playing right now, or something around there,
Wild.
as we speak.
So you by the age of 19 were pretty much a millionaire?
Not quite.
Okay.
When I turned 19, I was nowhere close.
Okay.
Because I hadn't released Anime Fighters yet.
Okay.
And then when I turned 20, I was.
Okay.
So that's how quickly it can happen.
Wow.
On Roblox. Yeah, once again, just because you just build the game, and really anything could happen. Like all it takes is one game.
Yeah. How did you get your head around that? Because you're very young. I mean, your brain's not even fully developed, you know, at that age, right?
Still isn't.
You're still, well, yeah, according to the science.
Yeah, as my mum reminds me regularly.
Yeah. So what's that like? What feelings did you have? What kind of emotional response did you have to that?
I think it was everything. Like it was very overwhelming. It wasn't like even though it was overnight. In comparison to maybe a more traditional way of earning that type of money, it wasn't literally like I woke up one day and was like, oh my God, there it is. Like sure. I just earned €1 million in my sleep. So I saw it coming a few months in advance. But like once I saw it coming and once I saw the trajectory, I kind of knew it was going to happen. So it sort of all hit me then. By the time it actually came, I'd been expecting it and it wasn't as much of a thing. But it was hugely overwhelming. I'd say like mix of excitement. I kind of wanted to like shout from the rooftops. I was like, look at me, look what I did. I ended up deciding against that. But yeah, like a real mix. And I guess one of the things for me was it guaranteed that I'd actually be able to do this for the rest of my life, which is like, I love building games. And the fact that I had made this kind of money that I'd be able to sustain myself. So now I had a buffer, even if I released games that didn't do well, I knew that I wouldn't have to give up on my dream right away.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You spoke there about the decision to not shed it from the rooftops. Can you tell me about that decision and the thought process behind it?
Yeah, well, it actually started long before Anime Fighters with Wizard Simulator, my first game, which was the first one that actually made like what I would call actual adult money. I guess as soon as the money started coming in, I wanted to like tell my friends. I wanted to tell everyone. I was like 17.
Yeah.
I was excited. And my mum gave me some really good advice. She said, look, just wait 6 months and see how you feel. Wait for the initial rush to wear off and then actually see how you feel. And if you actually want people to know about this and if you actually want what that will mean for you. And so I waited the 6 months as I promised. And I realized I actually didn't want to. Like, I guess during that time, I realized what money actually meant. Like, I guess I had this kind of naive, childish idea that, you know, like it was more important than it was, and also that it maybe reflected on me, and I just sort of wanted external validation, you know. Yes. And I mean, I love external validation as much as the next guy.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. But I realized that I didn't want people to like me because they thought I was cool because I'd made money, nor did I want people to hang out with me because they thought they could get something out of me. I wanted people who actually enjoyed my company, and I also really didn't want it to taint my experience going forward, especially in college. So I realized that wasn't who I was. I didn't want to flex money. I didn't want to buy Rolexes and all this type of stupid stuff.
No crypto bro stuff.
No crypto bro stuff. I've seen enough of that, and I'm very happy with my decision looking back.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I kept to myself. I kept it quiet. I just paid myself a pretty modest salary because I didn't know how long the revenue would continue.
Yeah.
And I just stayed at home. I started paying rent, trying to support my family, and it meant like I could get a better computer. You know, like I was able to play some video games, and once again, like it meant I didn't have to worry about going off and getting a summer job or anything. So I could, do all that stuff. But it wasn't. I guess that urge to be seen, I just sort of realized actually I don't need that. Like I'm happy enough as I am. And then so when the really big money started coming in, I already had that. And in a way, actually, if I can amend my earlier answer,
sure.
In a way, it felt like it wasn't real because after that initial rush, nothing changed about my life. Because I had this money, but it takes a few months to arrive from Roblox. Like there's a whole process, and it has to get into the company, and then I have to pay myself a salary, and like, you can't just go spend company money on like a new car or whatever. Yeah. And I mean, I only got my license 6 months ago, so that wasn't even on the cards.
Yeah.
And so it didn't feel real because I wasn't doing anything with it, and it was the middle of COVID, and I already had a nice computer, and like what else was I going to spend it on? Yeah. I had never been into brands or anything, so I guess after the rush, it just sort of was not real until the media started picking it up, and it did allow me to move out, which was a big kind of boost to my quality of life instead of having to commute in. So I was able to, theoretically attend more classes. I'm not sure the reality of how that turned out, but it was definitely it definitely made my life better, but like kind of quietly, and in a way where like I didn't go around thinking, oh, I'm a millionaire, like I'm so cool, like look at me, look at this, I'm wearing your car on my wrist, like none of this stuff. I just wanted, like, it just kind of smoothed the edges for me, I suppose, kind of sanded those down and allowed me to do what I would have done in college anyway, which was, get my ass kicked in exams, get rejected by girls. Like, it was brilliant.
Yes, yes. And when did you tell people then? When you mentioned the media started picking it up because they obviously got the financial reports. Was that the point then? Was that the kind of, okay, so were people seeing these stories in the press and then being like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
it felt kind of dizzying because it was something that I kept private for so long, and it didn't feel great to have that kind of just exposed. It felt like it was my like laundry being aired in front of everybody, which didn't feel great, but it was also like I'm glad that I managed to keep it all under wraps and have that normal college experience.
Yeah.
And I always intended that coming out of college I wouldn't be so kind of closed down about it, because like I'm also a very honest person. Like, it didn't feel great to be like lying to my friends, but it was important to me that it didn't affect my relationship with anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm very lucky actually that it hasn't affected any of my relationships now. I know loads of people who have had really bad experiences when they came out and they earned money and they started sharing it immediately. So I'm still happy with my decision, but I'm really lucky to be surrounded by people, perhaps partially because of my decision.
Yeah.
But people who don't really care about that, and it hasn't affected my relationship with
Yeah.
my girlfriend, with any of my friends, with my family. So that's been really great, I guess.
Your girlfriend didn't know?
Nope, nobody knew. Just literally me and my accountant and like my immediate family.
Wow. So, wow. And what was her response?
She was just concerned about me. I remember I showed her, and her first question was like, oh my God, are you okay? That's terrible. And she just gave me a big hug.
Wow.
It wasn't, oh my God, let's go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew she wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't be with her if that's what I thought she would say. But
so she just knows you very, very, very well then.
Yeah.
Wow. Because that's what. It's funny. This is a podcast now, but I'm just looking at you are extremely minimal. There's no bling.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You're understated.
Thank
you're
you.
Very, very understated, dude. So that's so I guess she just knew exactly who you were and how you'd feel about that kind of attention.
Yeah.
So how does it feel now? Because it's been a few months have passed since the first news story about it.
I think that it still feels a little bit surreal to get on here and in public say the M word,
Yes.
But so I wouldn't say I'm 100% used to it. But I think like really not that much has changed once again, and it does also feel good to actually not to not be hiding it from people anymore. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it feels pretty much the same. Yeah. After the initial, like it was kind of shocking. I remember like actually getting like dizzy in the shower. It was a day or two after the article came out, and I was just like standing there, and I was like, "What does this mean?" Like it felt like my life had been like pulled in this direction that I wasn't like ready for.
Yeah.
And that was scary. But as I said, like all my relationships remain strong, and I've been very lucky that it hasn't really affected my life except in positive ways.
And then after the article came out, because I saw it, and I was fascinated because I'm like, who is this guy? Why is he not on anyone's radar? You know, because you just hear about, you know, you're aware of them. They have a social media profile. But I'd never heard of you before, and saw the earnings, and I was just and saw your age, and then I got onto it with my colleague Natalie, and you agreed to do an interview with her. Which is really great, and I think it's definitely well worth reading. And you spoke in that about where you are at now, and you want to give back more and do some more do talks in schools and speak to people and kind of give them some advice. So what would that advice be?
I think I guess one of the biggest things for me, right, and I touched on it earlier, was that I never thought this would be something that I can do, and I've obviously had success beyond anything I could have hoped for.
Yeah.
But like all I wanted was to be able to, you know, eke out a living, actually doing something myself. Like I've always liked doing my own thing. You know, never necessarily worked great in teams in school, and I've learned a bit more now. But I definitely really don't think it would suit me to just like slot in as like a cog in the machine. Do you know what I mean? But I thought that was my only option. And it actually scared me. Like it was a real cause of anxiety for me when I was a teenager, was thinking that there was this like road that I just had to follow, you know, primary school, secondary school, for most people college, and then job. And I thought that was my fate. And like, you know, there's the odd person who like somehow by magic does something else. But most people, that's just what happens. And for me, that's what was going to happen. And I had this dream, but it was only going to be a dream. It was only going to be a hobby. And I think one of the things I've learned is not like that you can just do exactly what you want and, you know, everything is going to work out. Like if I had just been sitting around building tiny bad games by myself and not finishing them, I would never have gone anywhere. I did have to think about the market. I did have to think about monetization and user acquisition and this type of thing. But I still was able to break out of that mold. And the brilliant thing about Roblox is that it's completely agnostic to the creator of the game. Like it's not YouTube where you've got your channel and people will subscribe. And if you've got 10 million subscribers, like you could literally upload anything and you'll make loads of money out of it, right? On Roblox, it's completely anonymous, and every game is completely its own beast. So like if you had the same Roblox place file that I had built and you uploaded it, it would have been exactly the same. So it was this really equitable kind of democratic thing, I guess. And now obviously I did have the privilege that I had a stable home where I was able to build these skills. I had parents who encouraged me, and I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to dismiss the luck that I've had, but the fact that it actually is possible. And now as I've kind of gone out and built up my network, and especially when you go over to the States, you see a totally different culture. And I actually think that's one of the things in Ireland that frustrates me the most, is this attitude that you just have to kind of slot in and do this thing. Like there's so much, and there's still so many new people, for example, coming onto Roblox and having great success. And like there's a lot of my friends who would be kind of interested, but they never really, I guess, wanted to just throw it all in. They preferred to just follow the kind of track. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think there's sort of a pervasive idea in Irish culture and in European culture that like, just kind of keep your head down. You know, you don't want to get notions. You certainly don't want to be seen publicly failing. God forbid, imagine you drop out of school, start a company fails. Can you imagine like
towns laughing?
Exactly. And I think that is like, there are people who do stupid things. I'm not saying we should laugh at them, but like I'm not saying everyone should just go do everything. It should be a free for all. But I do think there is too much of an emphasis on just kind of slotting in. I think it holds back, especially our young people, in being that next wave of entrepreneurs. I know loads of people in Dublin who are doing cool things, and there could be loads more.
Yes.
And Yeah. So I guess, I don't know. I think we've gone on a complete tangent.
No, but that's the message you'd like to bring to young people in schools.
Yeah.
And it is important.
It's worth trying, and you don't need to be afraid of failing. Like I've released loads of games before I got to Anime Fighters. I just didn't release even more. I think I've got 70 games on my Roblox account, and most of them, like, in fairness, I did like 2 days and I quit. But I've got an absolute graveyard of ideas, right? And maybe it's because I started so young. Maybe I'm just lucky that I'm stupid. But I always just came back to banging my head against the same thing because I really loved it. And then it eventually worked out. And I'm not saying it's always going to work out for everyone, but there's absolutely no harm in trying.
Yes.
And there are other paths in life.
Yeah. Here. You're traveling around a lot now, and as a young game developer, and meeting other people in that sphere. And I'm curious, do you ever notice any common characteristics among young self-starters?
I think self-starter is probably the main.
Yeah.
Like it is, again, that that ability to just sort of jump in and try. Yeah. Like, it's not being afraid of failing, not being afraid of, or not being too afraid of failing. But everyone's afraid of failing. Failing sucks. But, you know, people who are just doing things, people who have an idea, and instead of, geez, like in gaming, it'd be, that game sounds like a lot of fun. Like, I hope someone makes it so I can play it. It's like, well, I'm going to go do it, you know? And even if I'm not the best person in the world at this, somebody else could do it better. But guess what? Probably no one will, you know? And they just go and they just make it happen. And I guess you'd call that a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. Sure. And it is, like, I guess there's a bit of selection bias as well, because I'm meeting people who've already done this stuff largely. And so they've already got kind of a track record that makes it a lot easier to be confident and try these things when you already know that you can succeed. But I do think that one of the things that occurs to me is my idea of a dream holiday, like a month away from everything. Yeah. And especially back when I was in school, it was like I wanted my summer so that I could work on my projects.
Yes.
You know, I didn't want a month in the sun in Spain. I wanted a month where I was able to dedicate a huge amount of my time to exploring ideas and learning these things. And I do think that, like, that's another one of those traits you see people, I guess, who are driven to do something. Yeah. I don't know why I'm driven. I just absolutely love it. And I think I'd go stir crazy if I had to go too long without being able to do something creative like that in the games world. Because it is an artistic discipline. Yes. And I consider myself a creative over a business person, 100%.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People don't realize that about games, but it really is, like, not all games aren't art, right? But games are an art form. And it is creatively fulfilling for me. Like, I am expressing myself through what I create. And there's a feeling of mastery as well, you know, like, an amazing woodworker might build a fantastic, you know, desk or whatever. And I love to pour myself into a game and just, like, hone the edges and tinker with it and see it come to life. And then to see millions of people playing with that and enjoying it, and to see positive reviews come in, see YouTubers that I looked up to when I was a kid playing my game and complimenting it and having fun. You know, when I throw in a joke and I see people on camera laughing, like, it's just fantastic. And I'm absolutely addicted to that feeling. Like, that's the reason I do it. More than the money, more than the lifestyle that it can afford me, is because I just love it. And I would be doing it still, I think, even if I was slogging through and I was making, like, minimum wage.
Yeah. What do you think made Anime Fighter Simulator so special?
I think we did something new and it struck a chord. It was the first game on Roblox where you were able to kind of collect anime-style characters. There were a lot of games, but they were more like, you know, you are this anime kind of style character and you can run around and, like, do attacks, and it's sort of like an action game. But our game was much more chill, where you could just sit down. You had a team of guys who'd follow behind you, and they could go off and they could, like, beat people up, and then you get coins and you could get more. And people really loved to collect the rare ones. They loved to collect the strong ones. They loved to find combinations that kind of gave synergy to your team. And it actually spawned a whole genre, which still has hundreds of thousands of people playing today. So yeah, it was like, in the game, it actually is a funny story, because that was the game that I was probably most ashamed of that I was building. I didn't even tell my friends and family. I put the whole thing together in, like, 5 or 6 weeks. Whereas my other games I'd spent months and months on, right? The actual, like, technical quality of the game was probably the lowest of anything I've ever released. But, you know, it just goes to show that what matters in the market is actually providing some, like serving some kind of experience, some kind of fun that isn't being served. And people just found it like magical. It was just like nothing else, and they loved it.
And when you say it kind of sparked a wider trend, like, are we going all the way out into those kind of like collectible games? Like, was it in or around the same time as like Pokemon Go and that type of?
No, this was later. So Anime Fighters came out in 2020.
Okay, got it.
Late 2020, or actually it was early 2021.
Yeah.
So it was after that. It didn't go beyond Roblox, but on Roblox there's huge trends, and we ended up getting killed by our competition. That's part of that 1 year kind of down ramp.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's amazing to see. Like, it was actually very surreal for me to join. Like, you know, I'd be like, oh my god, the update is tomorrow. Oh, and I've got to study for an exam. Like, I need to put this button. What color will it be? Okay, it's going to be purple. Brilliant. Get it out there. Get people playing. And now to this day, that same button in every single game is purple, and it's complete impulse decision. Like, it sounds silly, but small stuff like that, just to see. I guess it's like the butterfly effect.
Yes.
You know, and now it's like standard. Like, that's what the players, there's millions of people out there who are conditioned to think purple button, it does this, and it's because of just some random decision I made. And I'm like terrible. Like, I don't know a thing about color theory. Like, I've got no idea what that means, but it worked out.
Crystal ball question, like, in 10 years time, where do you think gaming will be?
I think that Roblox is going to be bigger than ever, for sure. And I think that type of development is going to steadily steal more and more market share. Like, I don't know if you've seen what's been happening in the last few months, but there's a new game on Roblox called Grow a Garden. And I know the guy who made it. And it went completely nuclear, or the guy who's currently operating it, he actually bought it off someone else who originally made the game. But it's like stratospheric. Like, a year ago, the all-time record for concurrent users in one Roblox game was, I think, 2.6 million, and that had stood for years. And Grow Garden came along and did 2 million, and then 3 million, and then 5 million, and then 8 million, and then 10 million, 12 million, 16 million. At which point, it hadn't just smashed the Roblox record. It actually is the highest number of concurrent users ever in any game ever, beating Fortnite.
Wow.
So in the whole world. And that's just one game on Roblox. And I think their record is at like 23 or 24 million now, and it's still like, it's Monday. Like, I guarantee you 48 hours ago, there was over 20 million people playing the game. At once, not in a day, at the same time.
Wild.
And there's multiple games that have 7-figure user counts right now. And it's huge. Like, it's been growing. It grew 50% this year because of Grow a Garden, the platform. Whereas the rest of the games industry is in a contraction. And all you hear about in the wider industry is layoffs and how is this affecting people and what can we do? And in Roblox, it's like the money train is only getting faster. There's the huge skills shortage because it's growing way too quickly, that even though there's people flooding in, it's like it is only getting easier and easier to build games that are reaching tens of thousands of people for free. You don't spend a penny on marketing. Like, it's totally bonkers. And I think it will normalize a little bit, but it's clear that what kids want today is not to go on and spend $20 on a game on Steam and to play through something that's really intricately curated. They just want to have fun with their friends, like silly, simple fun. And they want, when they're bored of it, to be able to jump into something else that's silly, simple, and fun, rather than these really long, kind of deep experiences, I guess, that would appeal more to more mature audiences.
Yeah. So what's the game plan for you? Are you gonna keep on developing the best in class games, or do you have other plans?
I think that I love making games, and I've got no plans to stop. But I haven't exactly got a 10-year plan. Like, I've got a next game plan. Okay. Which covers me for the next 3 months, and then I'll figure it out from there. Yeah. Like, maybe a nice holiday, like maybe another game. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. And yeah, very, very much playing it by ear, and enjoying. Like, I said that I consider myself a creative, and I do, but I certainly do take an interest in the business side. I did accountancy in school, and I've always been interested in finance and money management and business operations. So I am enjoying learning about that world and living in that world. But yeah, I mean, the backbone of the next 10 years for me is going to be building games, just like the last 10 years.
Yeah. Where do you think, like, gamified, this is a bit of a tangent question, but it just got me thinking, a lot of the new kind of apps for kids they're kind of gamifying saving money. They're gamifying the piggy bank. Do you think there's any kind of space for that? Yeah, I think the chores and Revolut is a very small example of it. Do you know what I mean? Where you get a little, like, a green tick, or
I think a good question, by the way.
Thank you.
But I think like what a game really is, and I've thought about this because I'm also I'm like a person who spends way too much time in their own head just thinking about these things and just staring into space. But what is a game? You know, and really what it is just like some made up jobs, right? Except doing them is fun. So the art of game design, when I really break it down and I'm trying to come up with a new game, I'm like, okay, the player needs to like climb up this tree, but like that kind of sounds like a pain. So how am I going to make them want to climb up the tree? How am I going to make them enjoy climbing up the tree? And that's what gamification actually is. It's like we have real jobs that need to be done.
Yes.
And so people are applying the same techniques that you do when you're designing a game, and you've made up some jobs, you make them fun. They're trying to make real jobs fun. And I think that can be good, but there's a flip side of the coin, obviously, right? You don't want to like suck people in. Like I remember there was a thing on TikTok where you were able to like earn money for watching videos, and a certain number of videos, and that's gamification. You give people a goal, let them work towards it, give them a reward at the end, and they love it. But like, I'm not sure we want to be applying that type of thing to like, you know, an 11 or 12-year-old who doesn't really understand that wasting 2 hours of their day to earn €1 is not actually worth it.
Yes.
And then that can lead to unhealthy behaviors. So it's like with great power comes great responsibility. I think gamification can be amazing. It can help people engage more, and it can encourage people into certain behaviors, but what behaviors?
So true. And yeah, you do wonder then, do we just get completely addicted to our own dopamine?
Yeah.
If everything is gamified.
Absolutely.
Well,
it makes my job harder. Like I want finance and mowing the lawn and everything to be totally boring, so you come play my games.
For a bit of escapism.
Yeah.
Final question. Money. Does it bring you happiness or just a better standard of misery?
I'm not sure I'd say either exactly. I think somewhere in the middle. For me, I think money is able to get rid of things that make you unhappy, but it is not able to bring you things that make you happy. Not in the long term. Like it can buy you a chocolate bar and that's brilliant, or a nice holiday. But actually building a life that you enjoy involves spending money to get rid of certain headaches and to provide stability, but it also involves all those other things. It's certainly not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Dara Bohan, thank you so much for sharing
Thanks
your
for
story.
having me. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.